I can hear you.
Very well, very well. Good afternoon, everyone. It's afternoon from here where I am. I am in Nigeria.
It's afternoon here too, so I think
All right.
only Volkan is a other person who is not in
Yeah, it
Nigeria
is late.
or
It is
not in the
late
same time
morning.
zone.
Late morning here. It's 10:30.
Okay. Good morning. All right. So I'm happy to have you all here today. Join in this session. As we all know, this is the maiden edition of the Tongston Entrepreneurship Summit, and today we are in for the entrepreneurship panel session in law. And you have been chosen because, I mean, you've all excelled in your various careers, you've all excelled in your various works and fields of endeavors. And then, so we'd like to know, a bit of what has your trajectory been like, a bit of what has it been like so far. So let's I know it's not yet time. I know we still have about 2 or 3 minutes to the exact start time. But how about we warm up to each other? How about we make a brief intro? So Egbiri, you've been there, like you were the first. You're such an early bird. So how about we get to know you, please?
Okay,
Thank
good
you.
afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are at the moment. My name is
Thank
Ebiri, and I work for the African. I work for the African Development Bank before I moved to Washington D.C. to start with the IMF almost a year ago. So I'll be meeting Volkan very soon when I'm back in DC. And yeah, so the kind of work I do at the fund, I am a country lawyer, and in the fund, the country lawyers are the ones who advise the countries on IMF law and policies. So I'll just stop there because we have only 1 minute before we start for others to make their own speech.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Interesting bio you have there. Chukwuma, all right. Can we get to meet you, please?
Hi, I'm Chukwuma here, and I'm the head of legal at Helium Health. Helium Health is a venture-backed healthcare technology company that is disrupting healthcare on the continent Africa. So, I think I'll keep it as brief as it gets, but during the course of the conversations, you probably get to learn more about what I do because I think we're just 3:30 right now. I think so.
Interesting. Yes, and then we go right in. So, Volkan, please, can we meet you?
Sure, Chioma. So I'm Volkan Celen. I'm a senior counsel at MIGA World Bank Group, working on political risk insurance and credit enhancement products. I am originally from Turkey and a Turkish lawyer, and before MIGA, I worked at Islamic Development Bank for 4 years.
Oh, great. All right. So, you're all very welcome. And then I am Chioma. I have a background in law as well, and I'm currently into law practice in Nigeria. I'm more of a generalist, yeah, and I'm still at a law firm. So welcome. It's good to have you all. So Egbiri, I'll get back to you too. Like I'll start off with you as well. So I'll ask you, like, how did your earlier choices and experiences, both growing up, your background, how did it shape up your choice to be where you are today? Like, what's the journey been like?
Okay, thank you very much, Shoma. That's a very interesting question, and one that, if one has to take his time to answer, might be a little bit of here and there. But just to go straight to something that I think the participants may like to hear, I think
Okay.
my where I am today in my career is principally a matter of a decision I made very early in my study of the law. So I started my law degree. I studied my law degree at the University of Nigeria, and then one of the early decisions I made as an undergraduate student was to get involved in moot courts and debate competitions. And through my legal career, what I learned, even though significantly, I've transitioned from being a lawyer in contentious matters to a lawyer who is now advising institutions and
Multilaterals.
what did you say, Chioma?
Multilaterals.
Yes, so I have transitioned from being a contentious lawyer to now just advising institutions that I'm working on. But the experience I gained from just participating in moot courts and debate competition really helped me because they helped me to be very articulate and to be effective in my communication. And one other thing is to think analytically and sequentially, because as a lawyer, you need to be able to analyze issues and be sequential in it, even for probably somebody who is now in a disruptive economy or disruptive world. You have to be able to, first of all, think in a sequential manner in order to understand how you can now disrupt things that are already there. And so I'll say that knowledge was very important for me, because in law they teach you how to use IRAC. I don't know, in different climes they call it different things. IRAC, one I for issue, R for rule of law, A for
Okay, okay.
application, and C for conclusion. So that systematic way of thinking in the law has helped me to analyze any issue. So whenever I meet any issue in life, whether in law or in anything, I'm able to think about it from what are the real issues. Because as a lawyer, you always need to consider the facts first. And when you consider the facts, you move to the law, you consider what the law is, and then you apply the law to the facts and then make your conclusion. And from the perspective of other choices that I've made, particularly with respect to courses that I chose at the level of my LLM, they have been very, very pivotal and instrumental to where I am today, because it is because of the courses I chose at my LLM that I was able to gain an opportunity to do a fellowship with the IMF back in 2015. And then I was able to join Sidley Austin in New York to work on global finance issues. And that is why I've been able to work at the African Development Bank and currently working at the IMF. So my knowledge in my just understanding the courses I took, which are principally courses in economic and financial law, they have helped to pave my career path. I will stop there for others to make their interventions.
All right, very well. Thank you, Egbiri. I think we have someone joining us. Thank you, Egbiri. That was very, well put together. That was succinct. Oftentimes, but when we set out, like from school, and then we go through most of those trainings, whether moot court, all of those things that they present us with. At the time, we don't yet know, where those things will lead us to. We don't yet understand, like what trajectory we have ahead, and then, what we can do or what we can do really with the trainings, right? And what all those formative experiences, what they stand to do for us, right as we go ahead in life. So thank you very much. Yeah. So
Thank you.
interesting. I wanted to also get back to you and then say, okay, so you said you chose courses in economic modules, like economic regulations, in your LLM. Like, were you already targeting those institutions, or they were just because, I mean, were you already targeting those institutions, or?
Anyway, I won't say I was targeting the IMF, because I mean, at the point when I was applying for the fellowship, so I was looking at IFC, because coming from Olaniwa Ajayi in Nigeria, which was a law firm I worked with before I went for my master's, I was focused. I was doing a lot of transactions, so I felt IFC would have been a very suitable place to go to, because I will be advising on the public sector from international perspective with respect to financing public sector projects or private sector projects. Sorry, but when I had an interaction with some of my counselors in school, they were like, "Oh, we think you're most suited for the IMF," because I had done a course on financing development seminar, and I had done a very wonderful presentation on the IMF. But I did not think I wanted to go into research where my work is not like the regular work that you do in a law firm. So when they told me, so I made IMF my first choice, and then that was why how I got into the IMF. Even at then, I was not thinking I would ever come back to work for the IMF, but your career move, and then at some point in your life, you're like, okay, maybe it's high time I started working on other things that are not just being in a law firm. So I wasn't targeting them. They just, I would say, serendipity. So I was just aiming for something else, and then I landed into it, and here am I today.
All right, wonderful. Okay, so we have someone who has just joined us. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, please. Can we all hear him? Sure, all right. Yes, they've indicated the share of their term. So please introduce yourself.
Um, okay, let me first acknowledge the presence of my boss. I can see my boss right here.
Eh?
Hi,
Sorry, I didn't
Chukuma. How
get
you
that.
doing? Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, all right. So my name is Olatunji Atoyebi, managing partner of Rainmaker Chambers. Sorry, I don't know if you can get that.
Chioma, it seems you are muted.
Yeah, she is.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, please, I can hear you. I could hear you. Sorry.
Okay, all right.
So you're
Yeah, so I
welcome to the
said,
session today.
okay, yeah, thank you.
All right. Okay. Okay, so we move on now to Chukwuma. So Chukwuma, please tell us a bit about yourself. I'm sorry I'm not having to go like I'm not necessarily sticking to the questions we have on the poster, right? So you could just tell us, what are you doing currently, and then what's been like the biggest trends and opportunities that you're seeing in your own niche industry of practice.
Right. Okay. So, hi everyone, Chukwuma again, and thanks for putting this together. It's really a privilege to be sat here and to be alongside this distinguished gentleman and lady. I think for me, I mean, like I said earlier on before we went live, I mean, a disruptive space. I work with a technology company, Helium Health, that is disrupting healthcare on the continent, Africa. And for me, it's very significant because it's a combination of many things. So we're a tech-enabled business on one end, we are venture-backed on another end, and then we are a startup. Or we've even though people don't agree we're a startup anymore, we're a Series A company, so people think we have made a lot of significant progress from the whole startup line. So it's a combination of three things, and for me, in my day-to-day job, I am exposed to a world that is rather different, very new, and very novel. And I say that because of where healthcare is on the continent of Africa, we're kind of like designing the framework and working through what the next 10 years, what the next 15 years when it comes to healthcare is going to look like. And when you look at it from that perspective, it calls for expertise, it calls for an innovative way for professionals to think about things. So, as a lawyer working in that space, it's a different landscape entirely. The things you need to think about, what you need to care for, and how you think about your career. So, in terms of when you speak about trends I see is that more people are now thinking about technology as a career path, and more people are more a lot more people are now thinking about going into aspects like product management, product counseling, things around artificial intelligence, things around data and analytics, things around consumer protection, things around privacy, things around data. These are all conversations that or career paths that people are considering. And so with the trends, you also see what the opportunities are. And like I always like to tell people that for you to think about, or when you think about what the next few years is going to look like, look at where technology is going. Look at what is shaping the conversations in technology right now. And healthcare is a $1 billion industry everywhere in the world. So it's going to be around for a long time. Financial payments is $1 billion. It's still untapped. I remember when companies like I think the solution in Pesa was launched in Kenya many years ago, and how M-Pesa shaped payments on the continent.
The landscape,
Yeah,
yeah.
that would tell you, where things are right now. You also think about things around people building APIs to power solutions in payments and processing, and even healthcare solutions. This will tell you where the future is. So when you look at these trends, they also point you where the opportunities are, is what I'm trying to say. So for people who are looking to think about, or who are thinking about ways to craft or curate their careers. These are all areas that are still very novel, areas that are still very green and very untapped. And for lawyers, it's very easy for you to, because the training as a lawyer teaches you to think about things from one particular linear perspective. First of all, even the way we dress, I don't know how it is in other jurisdictions, but in my experience, I was made to wear uniform up to my master's level, where things really split open, and it has shaped me to be a very conservative person, even the way I dress. But being in the future now, or thinking about or thinking about where the world is going, also calls for a level of curiosity. So you see lawyers now who are now interested in things like product design, things like data analytics, things like even economics, understanding how to utilize data, how to process information relating to data. And these are all opportunities that are still very green. And we wish that more lawyers will delve into, more lawyers will consider, and all of that. And personally, I remember when I was choosing where to go for my master's or how to think about my master's program, I knew for one that I never wanted a conventional LLM. And I'll tell you why. For me, the modules in an LLM, I could easily get them from a Euromoney training or a training in the Lagos Business School or London School of Economics and all of that. But when you think about something more niche or something more novel, you then start exploring courses around Udemy. You think about, oh, let me go and take a course in Udemy. Let me take a course in how to shape the way you're thinking about it. So these are all things that shape where we get to as professionals, our choice in our studies, the things that add value to us, and all of that. So for me, what I wanted was something very niche. And that's why I went into the program I did that is focused on law, technology, and entrepreneurship and how they intersect. So I think that's it for me. I don't know if that answers what you're trying to, but that's why I think about trends and opportunities.
Okay, yeah, and then, I would thank you really for your submissions. So how would you then neatly tie it up, in terms of maybe speaking to maybe the people who are younger and coming up, how can they then take advantage of those opportunities, right? Is it by maybe offering themselves, getting themselves equipped with requisite trainings? Could you at least speak to those?
Yeah. So thank you very much for that. And globalization has made the world very small, extremely small. I'll tell you for free that the amount of messages that I get from different people all around the world just lets me know that we are just in a small village at the end of the day. And I think one of the things that I always like to tell young people is you're the one to write your story primarily as an individual. And then secondly, you treat your career like a business. Your career is a business. Your professional life is a business that is supposed to either yield financial profits or an experiential gain. So you have to choose what side of the spectrum you want to be in. And you can also have both when you think about it. For me, I always tell people that one of the ways, never stop learning. Open your mind to new things. If you find something that piques your interest, now they're talking about the metaverse, NFTs, and all of those things. Don't run away from it, and don't think as a lawyer. There's a typical saying that I used to hear growing up, that fear of maths makes a lawyer. But I love maths. I did very well in maths, so it's an interesting quote. But I find that most lawyers are just comfortable with reading. Delve into harder things, challenge yourself. That's one way. Secondly, go under the take courses, that shape the kind of things that you want, and then engage with people that you think are doing the sort of things you would like to do. Learn from them, follow their story, read about how they got to where they are. And one last thing that we undermine a lot is the power of mentorship, and or being under the guidance of somebody, or just submitting yourself to learning from somebody. I know it's very difficult to find like match mentors with peers and all of that, or do the whole matching, but everybody is busy. But there might be that one person who is minded to you and disposed to you, and it can even come by you offering them help. Oh, can I help you, ease some of the work that is going on with you? And when you offer yourself in that way, the person sees some value and is able to hold your hand. I am privileged to have been under the mentorship of a bunch of people, and it has really helped me and made me see opportunities even where I wasn't looking. So I really advise that people should not undermine the power of being mentored. And being mentored is not always somebody directly interfacing with you. is you just like, even the way we have LinkedIn, which is such a powerful tool, I always say it, that you can just follow somebody's career trajectory from their engagement on LinkedIn, and it can tell you how to curate or inspire you in the way that you should go as an individual. So you might not always get that direct, okay, I'm going to call this person on a check-in call every day. I, for one, I don't even have the time. It's so hectic at my job. But I always find that most people who either follow the kind of things or the content that I push out or my engagement or whatever, they always tend to benefit more in how they think about what they're trying to do. So those are the four things that really come to me. And I'll take it again. The first one is, not being scared to delve into new opportunities. Secondly, take courses as you deem are in alignment with what you're trying to do. And do not resist or do not shy away from mentorship. We live in a generation today where people want the results, but they don't want to put in the hard work or the process. But nothing comes easy. Nothing at all is easy. No matter how we like to gloss over it, you must put in the work. It's just what I was saying at this point.
All right, interesting points you made there, Chukwuma. So thank you. So learning, right? You shouldn't shy away from opportunities to learn, to upskill. Whether they are core modules in law, whether they are interdisciplinary subjects, or just even things as they emerge. People should be open-minded, yes, and then the power of mentorship. That one is big enough. It cannot be underestimated. People should continue to seek out mentors, and then that the mentor protege relationship doesn't necessarily have to be, direct or a one-on-one kind of thing. So yeah, thank you very much. So we move over to Volkan. Mr. Volkan, yes, thank you. So you are at MIGA, right?
Yes, I'm at MIGA, World Bank Group,
Okay.
based in Washington, D.C., yes.
Okay, so can you tell us a bit about yourself again, and then how has your okay? So just tell us a bit about yourself.
Sure, sure. First, before getting back to me, I would like to thank you for organizing this event, which is really valuable especially for younger colleagues, I believe, because I know that when I was younger, which was quite some time ago, there were not that many opportunities for younger colleagues to have this advice from more experienced colleagues. So I think this is something really valuable, and thank you very much to Egbiri and Chukwuma for great advice that they gave to younger colleagues. When it comes to me, I'm Volkan Celen, a Turkish lawyer. I graduated from law degree in Turkey, then had my master's in law in France, in Sorbonne University. Then, after working a few years in Turkey in an international law firm, I moved to Islamic Development Bank, worked there as a senior counsel, working mainly on Islamic finance and structured finance deals. And then 8 years ago, I moved to World Bank Group and working on investment guarantees, political risk insurance, and credit enhancement products in the last 8 years. So I hope this gives a overall summary of where I am today. So if you like, we can move to the next one.
Okay, so thank you, really, thank you. What would you consider are the critical success factors, for professionals and even both entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs, really, in this industry, like in the field of law?
So, of course, law is a very big industry, right? And it's getting bigger and bigger every year, overall the world, and not only in US, UK, in financial hubs, but also in other countries. The legal industry is getting bigger and bigger, and I see, from my perspective, for lawyers to be successful in 21st century, there are mainly, I see, two key factors. Of course,
Sorry.
I see two key factors.
Okay, two key factors. Okay.
Yes, yes. So, of course, I believe there are countless factors that will have a say in crossing the fine line between success and not being successful. But at the end of the day, I believe these two key factors are very important for lawyers. So the first one is we should be innovative. As lawyers, sometimes, as you can also imagine, our lawyers can be too strong. So to be innovative, we need to put our egos aside, and we should be open to creative and
Learning.
reasonable solutions, learning, and to creative and reasonable solutions. As we discussed, the legal industry is changing every second, and we should be willing to create and adopt practical, cost-efficient solutions to difficult problems. So being innovative is the first thing. And second is, as in every job, but more for lawyers, I believe, we should be persistent. The perseverance and determination should be our bread and butter, because we are most of the time involved in difficult situations, right? And most of the time when the things go well, lawyers have a role, but especially when the things go wrong, people at the table are looking us in the eye and asking us to find a solution. So we should not forget that in those difficult times, if we are determined in these difficult moments, I believe we can achieve the success in the long run. So being innovative and being persistent are the main two factors, I believe, for young lawyers to be successful in the long run.
Thank you, Volkan. Thank you, really. Thank you. Very valid points you have there. We should all aspire to be, humble enough to learn, to acquire knowledge, because anything of virtue, anything that is even reasonable, anything that is beneficial truly requires humility to do. And then, it also, even in terms of knowledge, it requires that humility to even know that you don't know everything, and then that's the next person could avail you of information. The internet could avail you of information, and then there is really never an end to learning. you know and then also being persistent, because I mean there are also hurdles, there are also milestones, there are also challenges. Sometimes we're up against so many things, but then being persistent in those moments. So I agree with you, and I think we all agree with you as well. All
Yeah,
right,
thank
yeah.
you.
Okay, so moving on. So Egbiri, I'll come back to you. Please, what advice, would you give to your younger self? Assuming you were starting, like assuming you were just maybe a freshman in uni, maybe like you went to UNN, right? Yes. So what advice would you give to yourself, maybe to your 16-year-old self getting into UNN, right? Yeah. At the very start of your career.
Okay, thank you so much, Chioma. And then I will just address the question, and then I cannot agree more with what Chukwuma and Volka have already told us here. And then in terms of the kind of advice I would have given to myself, and I'm going to lean heavily on some of the things that Chukwuma said, because uh, it's always very easy for lawyers to just simply focus squarely on law and legal issues. And, you want to always vibrate with all those legal maxims and all that, and show people that you're a lawyer, you carry big books, you show them you can read. And like what Chukuma said, and you find that lawyers usually don't just deviate from the norm. And for me, the advice I would give myself is, if I were starting my legal career today, is to just break away from the mold and not just be molded into the way a lawyer will want to be. Because you find out that today there are many challenges in the world, but lawyers don't have solutions to them, because the law is always coming last in every issue. So the world is becoming more disruptive. Today, people are talking about, should we allow CBDC? CBDC is a central bank digital currency. Should we allow crypto assets? Should we allow stable coins and all those digital things that you can think about? And you find out that most lawyers don't even understand it. Lawyers are not even participating, because they will only come at the end when issues. Okay, for instance, in a big market like the US, today the SEC is still considering whether cryptocurrency should be regulated, and
Yeah, mainstream.
everyone is still, and cryptocurrency has been around for how many years? So we have not even tried to figure it out. And one thing I will give to probably the current the current chairman, I can't remember what they call, I don't know if the office is chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Gary Gensler in the United States, is he could actually delve into the discussion of cryptocurrency now because while he was away from CFTC, he went to join, I think, MIT to teach at MIT, and he was teaching courses on cryptocurrency and related issues. So he could think
That's
about
piqued
them
his
critically.
interest.
Yes.
Okay.
So as a lawyer, if you don't understand how these things work, you will not even be able to start discussing. You find out maybe in some countries, people will just wake up and say, legislate, no cryptocurrency. Oh, it is bad, it is this.
Some
But you
countries
see,
with N, some countries that
no, no,
start
no,
with
no, I am
N.
not going to call a country because my ethical requirements do not allow me to call countries by name, but
No,
I
it's
just
okay.
mentioned the
It's
US
fine.
because
It's
it is
fine.
one of the leading markets. So those are the things you need to teach yourself so that if you are working in places like the SEC or wherever, you'll be able to understand what the product is. How does blockchain work? And like Chukwuma said, I will teach myself, okay, just go and take a course. You don't even need to go and do an LLM. Take a course. You can pay for it. LSC, school, the other schools are offering courses on data. Just try to understand the law, the policy and regulation around data. Because in Nigeria today, or in some other countries, you find that people are just using other people's data anyhow they like. You know, you can find an email where somebody will just copy all the emails of the people in the world and just shoot it out. That is a data breach because the
Breach.
person
It's
does not even
serious.
understand how data protection works. So it is very critical. And for me, if I have to go back, those are the things that I am even already teaching myself at this old age because I'll consider myself old. uh, 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 in the legal profession by my own standard. So those are the things you need to teach yourself that. And another thing you need to understand is that the world, like Chukwuma said, is a small village, yet it is very vast. So you always have to look beyond your domestic environment. So for instance, you see that some lawyers don't understand how the economy works. So which is
So
not supposed to be
disconnected.
because for you to understand how to even advise your client, because you know in some jurisdictions lawyers are just trained, particularly in the Nigerian jurisdiction, lawyers are trained to be contentious. So people are always looking for how to fight, how to do this. Oh, you need to show your client that you are belligerent. You don't have to do all that. All you need to understand, for instance, if you are negotiating, you need to understand, okay, what there are concepts, what is partner and whatnot. What is the best alternative to a negotiated agreement for my client? And what is the worst position? That's what is the worst alternative to a negotiated agreement for my client. So I need to understand. So when I'm going into the negotiation, I am not going to fight the other lawyer. I am going to be friendly to get the best for my client at the end of the day, instead of just looking to objection, my lord, objection overrule, objection sustain, whatever. Those are no longer the things. Even if you are a litigation lawyer, you need to understand that at the end, the best interest of your client is what matters, and that is what you should always try to protect, not to show the other side I'm a lawyer, I am belligerent. And you see people sometimes they think the law is like bossing legal or suits. It is not that glamorous. It is just a simple way of thinking. And so sometimes I remember somebody once told me, oh, that he would teach somebody a lesson because the person does not understand that he's a lawyer, how lawyers. And I told him, no, your role as a lawyer is not to teach people a lesson. Your role as a lawyer is to guide people aright. If they are going wrong, you tell them, do this. And your role as a lawyer to a client is not to tell the client, let's go to court, let's sue the hell out of them. No. What if your client just decides to even get a little bit of the money that somebody is owing them instead of going to pay legal fees, costs in court, and then wait for many years from trial court to court of appeal to Supreme Court and all the interlocutory applications, just wasting the person's time. And at the end, when the person gets the money, it's really a Pyrrhic victory because that money is worthless. So for me, I will tell younger lawyers, you need to understand how the domestic economy works and how does the global economy work. Then you have to see the interaction between two of them, because like Chukwuma said, is a global village. So what something that happens in Nigeria today can slip over to Benin Republic. So you have all these slippages. So you need to understand what is going on in the world, and that will help to make your knowledge and your advice as a lawyer more enriching, not just trying to act in vacuum like, okay, we are lawyers and this is our word, or we dress in black and white, we wear wig and gown, this is how we do it. Anybody that does not agree with us is so. And like Chukwuma said, one thing I've been trying to teach myself again is how to just solve problems in an unconventional way. So you don't just have to sit and look, okay, we must solve this problem through litigation, or we must go and find an unconventional way of solving the problem, so that at the end of the day,
Think outside the box.
people in business want to interact. So we don't want, after this engagement, I will start fighting with you, or we'll never have to look each other eye to eye. We want to be able to come back tomorrow to do business. And one other thing I'll teach myself is coding. You understand? Because lawyers think, like Chukwuma said, oh, people who don't know mathematics will study law. But I was great in mathematics. I did the cowbell mathematics competition, both at my junior secondary school and secondary school, senior secondary school level. So I chose to study law because I want to be a lawyer. And you find that lawyers, once you mention anything mathematics, they will freak out. Or you talk about accounting, so lawyers need to understand beyond just the books that we carry. Understand how the things that are external to the law interact with the law, because the law does not operate in vacuum. It interacts with everything else going on in the world. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Very interesting point, Egbiri. And then let me backtrack a little, right? I mean, in school, we're all taught that law is an instrument of social engineering, right? You know, that it is through
Absolutely.
the law.
Did we lose
Is it
Chioma?
just me?
Yeah, I think her network just.
Okay, shall we come back?
I mean, why she comes back, so that the audience is not just waiting. Uh, Maybe I can just chip in one other thing that I was thinking of, because, like I was saying, there are plethora of courses to be offered online. Sometimes you don't even need to go into a traditional classroom to study them. You can just pay online and do the course. Like Chukwuma said, you have to take your personal development as a business, and you cannot just have a business that is going to be profitable if you're not going to invest in it. You're not going to invest in your employees and all that. So you are the employee of your own business, or the employee of your career development. You need to invest in yourself, because it's only when you see that some young lawyers, they will just reach out to you and say, oh, give me the solution to this problem. And I'm like, if that's how I was trained, I will not even be able to give you the solution. You need to actually think, come up with something that I can work with. Don't come and ask me to give you the solution to a problem, because if you cannot think about how to solve the problem yourself, critical thinking, then you might as well just be doing something else and not law, because you need to solve a problem.
And law is really just about applying yourself, in a way that is not only creative, but also there's some level of extraction of value. And I'm still looking forward to the day where I will get a document. I'll send a document to another party that maybe I'm doing a negotiation with, and it will come back without any changes. Because the obsession to always correct a document from the other side also stems from the contentious nature of the traditional legal training, whereby you feel like every contract there must be a problem with it. So it makes me, whenever I'm in conversations with my team and they're like, oh, don't you have any comments? I'm like, no, the lawyer on the other end has done a great job. I think we should just either accept, and it's a very unconventional thing to say, because they expect that you must find an error in the contract document, you must track it, you must do all of that. But I think that the law is really at an advanced stage, when you think about it. And there are other things that we can be grappling with as a profession, as opposed to delving into some of these other mundane things. If a lawyer has done a good job on the other end, acknowledge it. It's fine. You don't have to start stressing the conversations. And because I also work in-house, you can also slow the transactions by being insistent in that manner. And the business people will keep having issues with, your legal team, and legal gets the bad name of the team that is always slowing things down, and all of that. It's just very interesting that the experiences are really, really similar.
Yeah, Chukwuma, actually, what you said exactly comes back to the same point, right? The education is very important, also about how to handle your negotiations, how to handle your closings, how to handle your personal interactions with other lawyers, with the business people, with the operations people. So in that sense, I think it is also an important point for young colleagues to not find it satisfactory to do the day job. I think every day at least 1 hour we should allocate for our professional and personal development. That will help us to go to the next step and improve ourselves, because 1 hour every day means 365 hours a year, right?
That's a lot.
If you do that, you can add a new language or some other talent every year to your portfolio, which will, at the end of the day, which will make you a great lawyer. So we should always keep that in mind.
I haven't heard from Tunji. Tunji, so what advice are you going to give your younger self as a lawyer? What are some of the things that you wish you would have done differently? Starting off your legal career. It's good to see you, by the way.
Yeah, thank you, my boss. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I've been battling with my network. Okay, so Chukwuma is my guy here in this context. So, all right. It's a pleasure to be here and to rub minds with you. I think I listened to almost everyone's interventions, and they are wonderful. So my advice to the younger ones coming up, I would say the legal space is big enough. It's big enough for everyone. And my figures might not be accurate, but I think we have about probably 90,000 lawyers in Nigeria, or roughly 100,000, and we have a population of 250 million. So if I'm going to do the ratio, probably we should be having a lawyer to about 5 persons or 10 persons. So meaning we don't have enough. We don't have enough, and we need more. And I have a bit of experience when during the lockdown, the COVID lockdown, and when the federal government established the mobile court. And so I was one of the volunteers and for violators who break the COVID-19 lockdown rules. And then realized that a lot of persons don't even have an idea of what the legal space is all about. They don't have an idea of what the judiciary is all about. They don't have any idea. So there's so much to be done and so much we can do in terms of creating more awareness. And that's why I appreciate the organizers of this program, because there is need to put so much out there and to educate our people on what to be done. So I also think for younger lawyers coming up, you need to find out where your passion lies. You need to find out what you need to do, what you want to do. So for me, my passion has always been the corporate commercial sector. But when I got into the legal space, where I could find my feet initially was in litigation, court system, and all. And I did that for a number of years. And so that's where I found my feet. But I was able to navigate back into the corporate. So for now, I'm more like a mixed breed. I do, because I can't throw away the knowledge I've gained over the years. But I feel if shit.
Are you okay? Oh dear, I hope I hope Tunji is okay. I'll probably reach out to him after now. But I think we just have about 3 minutes more before the wrap of this session. And I don't think Chioma is able to dial him back. But it's been really, for me, I think the advice I'll give my younger self is that never be afraid. Never be afraid, never be afraid. Whatever you decide to do, make all the mistakes you want to make, learn from them, reinvent yourself, but never be afraid, because most times we tend to regret the risks that we don't take at the end of the day. And I would always advise that, I'll tell myself every other time that, never be afraid. Because I find that some of the best patent lawyers in the world today are the ones that probably have an engineering background, or the lawyers that have maybe a background in medical science. It's just because as an engineer, you're taught to think about things from a much more technical perspective, which is a value add when you're dealing with patent applications, or when you're dealing with the machineries of how things work, when you want to work in the patent and IP space. I don't know if Egbiri is still here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, lovely. So I think that's it from that's what I'll tell myself, my younger self, that I shouldn't be afraid. I take all the risks that I want to take, and just go. Like Tunji says, said something that was very instructive. There's the sky is really big. There's so much to do. And as I get veer more into my career and engage more with much more people, I just find that we haven't even scratched the surface of what the potential of a legal training can do, or the other things that you can add to your legal training. I think
I totally agree with you, Chukwuma. And then I just wanted to bring something to the fore, because, like you said, and it's a vast world for the legal profession. You can venture into a lot of things. And I was reading one IBA Young Lawyers report, and you find out that about 20% of young lawyers want to veer out from the traditional law. They want to go and do other things, because it is one thing for people to think, okay, I am trained to be a litigator, I must stay in the courtroom until I die. No. You can always reinvent yourself. For instance, my legal training in Nigeria, when you go to a uni and you go to the law school, everything is focused on the court system, more especially. So they train you to come out to be a litigator. And I enjoyed it. I did mooting, I did debate competitions, and I did that very well. But when I became a lawyer, and then I started going to court during my NYSC, that was when I lost interest in dispute resolution, the court side of it, because you go to court, the other lawyer is deploying all avenues to just get an adjournment. You're like, this matter needs to be settled as soon as possible, but somebody is looking for a way to get an adjournment, and then you keep coming to court, and then you bring an application, somebody will a ridiculous application. At the end of the day, the person will not even be penalized. The court will not even award costs to show that you have wasted the time of the court. So I felt like I wasn't going to remain on that path. So even when I left my NYSC law firm, and then I was going to join Olaniwa Ajayi, the day I joined Olaniwa Ajayi, I remember one of the partners, who is my very good friend, asked me, so do you like dispute resolution? I told him no. He said, why? I said, because I think it's an all-comers affair. He was like, oh, would you say that about a law firm that boasts of 2 learned 6? I said, that wouldn't change my thoughts.
Opinion.
And I feel it was a punishment for me to say something so bad about litigation, that I ended up being thrown into litigation, because all I wanted to do was to do transaction. So I was thrown into dispute resolution, and I told myself, I'm going to do this to the best of my ability. I'm going to prove myself that these guys will know that, yes, you can do it, but I just don't like waking up very early, going to court, and the court doesn't sit. So that was what happened. I enjoyed it, and then today I am here doing something that is totally unrelated to dispute resolution in the court system. So it's all about reinventing yourself, because the same skills that served you in the courtrooms will be the same skills that will serve you in other aspects of your life as a lawyer. I don't know if you have any concluding thoughts, Volkan, before we turn it over to the organizers, because I think we are almost out of time if we are not.
Yeah, just let me quickly wrap up. I think, all the advices that you gave, Egbiri and Chukwuma, were great advices to young colleagues. And to me as well, I took note of all of them, actually. As, if we try to summarize, being innovative, being persistent, and not being afraid of novelties are kind of the overall, summary of our advices, I understand. So in that sense, it is a great, the legal industry is growing every day, and the prospects are the opportunities are getting more and more. So I hope that everybody listening to us liked the advice, and I hope it will be helpful for their future careers. Thank you.
I side with Volkan on that as well. That's it from me. It's been exciting to be here, and hopefully we can take one or two things from everything everyone has contributed this afternoon.
Yeah. So I was just asking if we're going to conclude on our own, because I think we still have 50 people on. So, okay. Thank you so much, participants. Even though we cannot see you, I know you might have questions or all that, but we can see you. We can relate with you. But thank you so much for participating. And we believe that some of the nuggets we've been able to share today, you can take some of them home and apply them to yourself. And I believe you will be the best lawyer or the best disruptor that you can be, because we are now in the realm of disrupting everything. So don't just think conventionally. Find other unconventional ways of solving problems. But first of all, you need to understand the conventional ways of doing things in order to disrupt it. So the sky is your limit. Just go and do your thing and excel. That will be all for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.